Well, good morning, folks. Pastor Rocky. Hope you're doing well today. Well, today is day 136 as we start this journey again on Monday. And these days, I'm telling you, they're coming fast. Now, February the 10th. Just unbelievable all that's going on and how it continues to go on. And when you see these things as they come and the situations that you face and the challenges and all the other things, all the decisions have to be made, you are comforted by knowing that God said he would take care of you. That's such a wonderful thing to think about, because sometimes life doesn't go your way. Sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to work out. And it may not be the way they should have worked out, but at least it's a situation that you find yourself in. In the book of Luke, which is such a great book, in the 12th chapter, Jesus, well, there's more parables, first of all, in Luke than they are any of the Gospels. But it says here in the 22nd verse that Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, neither for your body, what you shall put on. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment." And he's going to teach a lesson here. And he's going to teach a lesson that we all need to know. And that is, God is not only someone that loves you, but God also is someone that will provide for you. It's tough because we're taught to be maybe, well, you hear this statement sometimes, well, they're a self-made man or woman or whatever. Well, I mean, without Christ, we couldn't do anything, period. So the interesting part is he says, your life, who you are, what you're about is important, but it's also elementary to God because he is so great. Now, we worry about stuff as people. We worry about house payments and electric bills and car payments and groceries and mortgages and all kinds of stuff. But God doesn't find himself in that category at all. In fact, he's able to help us in a serious time of need. That's a very critical thing for us to think about and understand. So when you think about these things, it's interesting because you're concerned about your life, you're concerned about your future, you're concerned about stuff. But Jesus tells a very interesting analogy here. He says, "Your life is more than meat, your body is more than raiment. Consider the raven, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouses or barns, and God feeds them. How much more are you better than the birds of the air?" I mean, that's an interesting thought, and it should be something that we should consider, because so many times, let's just stop for a second, and let's just ask the question: how many times have I just gone ahead and done something because I needed it, and I didn't even pray about it? I didn't ask God about it. I just did it because I had the credit. I could go borrow the money, or I could do whatever it was that I just didn't need to ask anybody. I could just go do it, or maybe having to ask somebody and not even praying about it. And the Lord is saying, look, you're more important than the birds of the air. And I feed them. I take care of them. And you're more valuable than that. And then he goes on to say this, which I think is an amazing statement, because he says, "And which of you with taking thought can add to his height 1 cubit?" Well, we can't do that. You can't just all of a sudden grow up and say, I'm going to be, 6'5" or 7 foot or, 5.5 foot or whatever. No, you think and talk all you want to. It's not going to happen. But he goes on to say this: if you're not able to do that thing, which is least, why do you take thought for the rest? I mean, God is saying, trust me. Let me show you who I am. And so many times, beloved, we fold under the pressure. We fold under our own lack of faith that God is able to help us. Oh, we tell somebody else, oh, God can help you. Don't you worry about it. God can do this. But in our own lives, it becomes a foreign exchange, because often we don't even believe what we tell other people. And Jesus says here, he talks about the ravens. He talks about the stature, your height, You can't add any of those things. He says, why do you worry about those things? Because they're small things to me. God, everything's small to God as far as accomplishing the goal. But then he says this, which I really like. He says, consider the lilies, how they grow, how they toil not, they spin not. Yet I say unto you that Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. He's talking about the beauty of the flower, the lilies of the valley. He said they don't work to do anything. They don't work to get rain. They don't work to get sunshine. They don't work to get moisture. They don't work to get nutrients out of the ground. They just are sitting there. And he says, I take care of them. And their glory looks like the riches of Solomon. And they didn't do anything to get it. I did it for them. And he's helping us to understand that he desires to provide for his children. And then the next verse says, if God then so clothe the grass, which is today in the field and tomorrow gone, cast into the oven, which means it just dries up and stuff like that happens with vegetation and so forth, and tomorrow's cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? I mean, God will do what you need to. Somebody says, now, wait a minute. Okay, Pastor, I hear what you're telling me, but I'm in trouble. I got a need. I got a thing going on. Well, there's some questions that we have to ask. You know, one of those questions is, am I doing the will of God? Because God will provide for us in the time of need, but we have to be in what I call speaking terms. If we're on speaking terms, if we're able to talk to him and listen to what he's got to say ourselves. And God works through all those things. If we're in that situation, God will help us, but you can't, like the Super Bowl, a few hours ago, didn't turn out like a lot of people thought it was going to turn out. And Las Vegas, I'm sure, lost a lot of money. And I'm sure a lot of people lost a lot of money because people gamble on stuff like that. And people worry about that stuff. And they're trying to do everything they can to get an extra dollar or whatever the case may be, missing the whole point. Because this is what Jesus says, which I think is so great and I think so important. He says, and seek not you what you shall eat, nor what you shall drink, neither shall you be doubtful in your mind, for all these things, all the things that I'm talking about, do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knows that you have need of these. But rather seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. God will give what we need, when we need it, the way we need it, exactly if I will follow him. That's the big thing. And is it tough? Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's tough because you have to lay your will down and pick up his. And sometimes we don't want to lay our will down because we think we know better. But we don't know better. God knows better. We need to follow him. So, roll that around and think about it. See what that'll do for you. God bless you. Day 136. Rock on with it.